and welcome back, or welcome if you're new to the channel. I'm Kayleen and you are visiting my urban backyard, front yard. It's all around my property that I plant and grow mainly food, but I do have flowers in there. And today we are going to do another Power Hour gardening challenge where we just get out in the garden for an hour and get as much done in that hour so it doesn't feel like it's overwhelming or big pressure to do a lot in any one day. So today we've got good weather and I'm going to get out there and get some plants in the ground that I have grown from seed, or most of them I've grown from seed, and some of them have been up potted and they are ready to be out in the natural now. So I'm going to get them in the ground so we can get some summer veggies growing for our plates. Okay, come with me and we'll get on with it. So we've got a break in the weather. We've had rain and then sun and then rain and sun, and we've got a lot of wind when we get sun, but today is a sunny day, and so we are going to put some plants in today. So I've got a lot of seedlings that are ready to go into the ground and they need to be placed around the garden. Now I have got new areas that are waiting, that have got space. I've got areas that I'm cleaning out or still cleaning out things that can take some of the seedlings in. Some need a bit of work, and some other areas that are freshly weeded or to be weeded that can take seedlings in as we go. But today, this is an area you probably haven't seen. This is the newest area that's only just been developed here, probably a couple of weeks ago. We worked this area. So these beds have had a lot put into them. There's composted soil that was surrounding it that have gone into it. I've put blood and bone in there, and there's been some, I've just noticed a cicada shell, I think. I don't think it's, let me see if it's alive. No, a shell in the garden. There you go. This garden bed is got some vegetables that will take up a lot of that space. On the trellis there is watermelon and cucumbers in here. There's flowers on the end, but there is gaps that I can add more vegetables to, and vegetables that kind of can encroach on the path area if they want to. So I'll plant them pretty close to the edge. So what I'm going to put in here is capsicums, different capsicums, and I'm going to group most of them in twos because they like to be in twos or threes together. They support each other if they're growing together. So I'm going to put 2 of these long capsicum ones. They are just locally saved seeds, and this yellow wonder capsicum that I picked up at a permaculture swap that's more advanced than my little seedlings. So I'm going to put that there. Because it's yellow, I might put it with a different colour so that I know the difference between the two, but I will group them. And then I've got a couple here that are red, large bell peppers that I collected from a holiday in Pambula in New South Wales, and I saved the seed from a very, very large fruit that we ate up there. So I'll put a couple of those in, and I think I can squeeze in another 2. So over here in this basket, I've got some chilli siam, which I'm going to put over there in another bed. But I've also got some shizito and a long sweet here. So I really want to make sure that I get some of those shiitzos in, which are long capsicums as well. The long ones apparently produce more than your typical bell size. So I think I'll put a couple of those in here. And then I've got a couple others here, and I've got some growing, other varieties of those growing in the greenhouse to put out later. So I think that's what I'll do in this bed. So these little fellas have roots pretty much that have filled up the space that they're in, but they're not root bound by any means. They could have stayed in there a lot longer, but basically they have reached for the edge and the bottom of that, so they will be happy to go in the ground and expand out from there. I was a bit rough with that one. So I'm planting them about 4 inches apart here, the two together. Pop a little tag in. And they're a little bit away from the cucumbers that are going to grow up here, so hopefully enough away. And this one here. Much easier to get out when they're in the individual pots. And easier to plant. So these haven't been in the pots for that long actually. I up-potted probably only at the most a week or two ago. Probably 2 weeks. Just. So that these ones haven't grown much bigger, but I think I can still see fine roots that have wandered down in there. But in any case, it gives it a bit of that soil around it that it's kind of used to before it hits the soil in the garden. And this one on its own. Again, there's lots of roots in here. It's ready to go in, but it's not root bound, which is a nice time for it to transition. So I'm making sure I'm pushing the soil firmly against it. It's the wind playing up. And then we'll water them in. So we'll put a 4th lot in with these. This is not a very strong container. It's breaking as I push on it. Okay, there's one. Come on. Oh. Okay. I'll have to protect these from those birds, because if they dig those little ones up, they won't like that at all. So I'll have to put something over here to make it less appealing, like I've done with this. So these I grew 3 years ago, I think, and these are the original seeds, so they were still viable. I got one to grow and then the gardens got moved and I lost it. So I never really got the fruit out of it, but I think it's very, very similar to a pepper, mild pepper that I've got growing. This worm. You didn't like that, did you? Sorry. Where can I put you? Just go under there. Oh, come on, go under there. Oh, there's more in there. Well, that's good news, isn't it? That the worms are in there. So yeah, these are tiny. I'm going to try and be careful with this because they're very difficult to be careful when you haven't really grown them on much. Yes, it's only just a little thing, which I'll just push up against the side of that hole. And guess what? I've just lost the other one. Where does it go? I can see the roots of it. There it is. Very rough handling, but I think it'll be all right. Oh, what have we got in there? I've got little baby centipedes wriggling around in there. That's a good sign. They're predators. We don't get very big centipedes here, but they do a lovely job. Okay. Right, they should be happy there. And I will need to put the cage back over them. There's a lot of activities in that soil I can see moving around. The activity we don't want is earwigs because we've had them in like plague proportion this year. A lot of people have had issues with them. I haven't lost much to them, but I've seen a lot of them. Right, let's get a little baby Basil in. Let's get that out. I've grown these from seed. I haven't had much success in the past growing from the seed, but I managed to get them going this year, which I'm pretty pleased about. So I'll give it that, I think. Fill up the hole a bit with that. Put that around it. I'll mark it because it's so little at the moment. And I'll put that over like that. Hopefully that'll protect them and the beans that are going to hopefully grow up there. It is hard to dig a hole without digging up these little worms, disrupting them. So that's the Black Russian. Well, I think it's Black Russian. We bought an heirloom tomato from a whole food place in Pambula, and it looked very much like a Black Russian. So that's what I'm calling it at the moment until I can see the fruit. So the broccolette has come out of here only a few days ago. And before it did, I planted some little wee tomatoes in here. And they are not so little now, but they're looking good. Now I can put the basil in here. Now what I'll do is I had on the edge some anemones that are going to seed now. They're finished. I've yet to decide whether I'm going to pull the corms up or not. I probably will, but I'm going to plant a basil in the middle of it because that can grow there while they're not, and use that space in the bed on the end. So I'll put one there. Let's give that beech a little bit more covering over its roots. It's kind of come out a bit. And again on this end, same deal, the anemones. Immediately behind these is some white salad onions growing, and then behind that is some lettuce. So the onions need their room, so I'll pop it in the middle of here. Seeing the basil's only a baby, it will be fine to grow amongst here, and the anemones are like they're not going to shade it out or anything because they are definitely finishing up. So I'll put this little one in there. Now this area hasn't had any blood and bone, so I will throw some of that in here. There's a few weeds that I probably might try and grow back, so I'll make sure I mulch it, but it's always risky separating these, but I reckon it'll be fine. I always try and give my squash room to grow because the leaves can get quite big. Okay, so for our power hour, we got 16 plants in behind me that will produce a lot of food done and in the ground, and the eggplants out on the other new bed. So, you know, there's a couple of dozen or more plants in for the day for coming out in the sunshine and watered in and ready to do their thing in the ground instead of in the pots. They do take off pretty quick once they've got in the ground and they get a bit of sun. And this week is forecast for a bit of sun. So we've got a few dry days now, and it will cool down again, but not as cold as we've had. So this is a good week to get all the rest of my summer stuff in, or most of it in, if I can. So that's my goal. So I hope that you enjoyed that, and it encouraged you to get out in the garden for the Power Hour Gardening Challenge and get some things happening for you and some food on the table. Okay, I'll catch you next time. If you have the new hype feature, I would love it if you hyped my video and give us a thumbs up and say hello in the comments, and I would love to see what's going on in your garden right now too.